Hello, this is Connie Belden, and in this video, we're going to take a look at how to calculate equivalent units and how to get a cost per equivalent unit. Let's start with similar to exercise 4.2. Let's assume that on October 1st, you have 15,000 units in work in process that are 60% complete for materials and 20% complete for conversion. That would be labor and overhead. For ending work in process on October 31st, you have 8,000 units in ending work in process that are 70% complete for materials and 30% complete for conversion. The department started another 100,000 units into production during the month and completed and transferred 110,000 units to the next department. We will now calculate equivalent units for materials and equivalent units for conversion. So to do that, we start with the units transferred out. It'd be the same for each. It is given that we transferred out 110,000 units. So I will fill in 110,000 units under materials and conversion. Now I want to add in the portion of the ending work in process that is completed. So ending work in process is October 31st. There were 8,000 units, and for materials, it was 70% complete. So I will take 8,000 times 70%. That's the equivalent of finishing 5,600 additional units. I will add 110,000 plus 5,600, and my equivalent units for materials is 115,600 units. For conversion, on October 31st, again, I had 8,000 units in ending work in process that are the equivalent of 30% complete. So 8,000 times 30% means I finished the equivalent of another 2,400 units. Take 110,000 plus 2,400, and my equivalent units for conversion is 112,400. Okay, let's move on to a different exercise similar to 4.3. And here we're going to calculate the cost per unit. So assume you're given the following information for materials, labor, and overhead. And we did divide labor and overhead up instead of combining it together as conversion. And we want to compute the cost per equivalent unit for materials, labor, and overhead, and then total it. Okay, so first of all, the cost of beginning work in process is given. So I just brought that down. So 9,000 for materials, 3,500 for labor, and 12,000 for overhead. So I just brought that down. The next line has my cost added during the period, so I will just bring that down. It's 120,000 for materials, 40,000 for labor, and 200,000 for overhead. Now I want to add the two numbers above. So 9,000 plus 120,000 is 129,000. Add for labor to get 43,500. And add for overhead to get 212,000. Now in this case, the equivalent units was already calculated for you, just like we did in the previous exercise, and given. So to get a cost per unit, we want to divide it by the equivalent units. So it's given at 15,000 equivalent units for materials, 16,000 equivalent units for labor, and 14,000 equivalent units for conversion. So now what I want to do is divide the last two numbers. So I'll take 129,000 divided by 15,000, and my cost per equivalent unit is $8.60 for materials. 43,500 divided by 16,000, it's $2.72 for labor, and 212,000 divided by 14,000 is $15.14 for overhead. So now, as you notice, I have to decide if I add the $8.60, the $2.72, and the $15.14. That gives me $26.46. as a cost per unit.